I'll call the October 23, 2018 meeting to order.
I'll make a motion we accept the minutes as mailed.
All those in favor? Or I'll second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I make a motion we sign the payroll and manifest. And I think it's just, no, it's both.
Yes.
Yep.
I will second that. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sign away.
Yes, yep, just taking a glance there.
That's yours.
Yes.
That's yours.
Okay.
There's a ton for me today.
Well, here's the file.
Let's throw that one over to you.
The rest of the rest of it's
Would you
mine
like
too.
that? Yeah, I thought you might want to sign the quick ones
Yeah.
first, and then we can have the monster thing.
All right, so we have a number of items on new business this evening, beginning with our annual approval of the December 2nd parade and bonfire.
It's the bonfire,
Yes.
right, which is on district property across from the senior center.
Yes.
And, you know, we've been doing it for
Yes.
years.
Do we need
Do
a
we-
motion, or we
yes,
just
do we
say
need a motion?
yes?
You can just say yes.
Yes, I
Yes.
would say yes.
Okay, great. All right,
Okay,
so the
so-
budget, everybody's got a budget
Yes,
in
we
front
do.
of them.
Yes.
And we don't need to make any decisions tonight. I'll ask Superintendent Randall to come in next meeting and go over things that might be of interest to you. But
Yes.
in what you've got, we don't have the October consumer price index for the staff
Yes.
salaries, but Cindy put in 2.25 as a placeholder, so we'll
Okay.
adjust it up or down after in
That's
the November.
probably fairly close.
Well, in August it was 2.7, and then in September it was 2.2, so
Right, okay.
see what it is. Also, in the water budget, on the second page, you'll see a blank 3/4 of the way down the sheet. Bobby, is yours in color?
Yep.
Okay, good. To be determined, the experts are recommending that we have our 2.5 million gallon water storage tank assessed. And Jason's trying to determine a number for that, an assessment,
I see.
okay?
Yes.
Well, you know, it just occurred to me too.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
If we want Wright Pierce to do a rate study, they haven't sent me that proposal yet either, so that would be in both budgets. And that's another thing that's
Oh, yes, right.
not in these. And other notable things to think about, there's a truck replacement request and then an enclosed trailer.
As well as other things.
Well, this
If
is
we-
water.
Oh,
so
water,
far.
yes, yes,
This
yes.
is water so far.
Yes.
And the only comment I'll make at this point is there is money in capital reserve for those purposes if the board wants to consider moving forward with this truck and enclosed trailer.
Right. So we're not, so our first, Jason's going to come in and
Yeah,
speak to us
Yeah.
rather
I
than
wanted to
try.
just, yeah, this is just a, here's, map it out.
Right,
This isn't the final, this is see how it's draft?
right. No, of course,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah, no, we've already discussed this.
Yep. Okay, so
A little
then in sewer, same thing applies with the October CPI.
Right,
And then, the other notable in the budget is we've put $50,000 in water and then $100,000 in sewer for interim interest if the board chooses to proceed with the borrowing.
right.
Okay, that's just interim interest. We'll get to the real stuff later. But then in sewer capital, you know, I had asked Jason to see what he could do about a bare bones budget. And this budget has $65,000 in paving and a pole barn, which were cut out of the septic
Receiving.
receiving
Yes.
project, so he's put them in here. And then the dewatering upgrade, I'm not sure exactly what that is, but it sounds like it's a need to keep the, to keep the it's a newly
Press.
identified, to keep the press going, yep. And
Well, I
then,
think we need some type of hierarchy here, as rather than all of the above.
Right.
You know, we have to
yeah, I
start
told him,
talking,
I
pick and,
would
pick and
like-
choose.
yeah, I told
Start
him
Yes.
that
Yes.
he'd be in, well,
No, he should definitely lay out everything that is on his mind, but,
yeah, can't blame them for trying.
yes.
And the pole barn is just, I don't wanna say just, the pole barn would be for materials like sand, gravel, et cetera, that are outside in the elements now. It's not, I didn't see it as a dire need, but I did not cut it out of the budget. Let him make his case to you, and then,
Yeah, at $120,000.
well, let's just go through
Yep.
what we've got, and then
Yep.
we'll have the bigger discussion next month. And
Well,
then-
I mean, it begs the question of, you know, we could put up a hoop building, which is not gonna, it's gonna be a fraction of that cost, so.
All right. Just the broader overview. And then insulation for the buildings. The garage, the sludge building, odor control building. And again, these were not in our capital improvements plan, but they're appearing in this budget because they've identified a need. And then there's a Headworks wet well, which is probably a need.
Yeah, I could see that one as being a need.
Right.
Oh wait, it's door and platform installed for maintenance and safety. So let's let him come in and have a chance to talk with you about.
I was just hearing about some source of funding for, you know, for insulation, you know, for energy efficiency and,
Co-op.
yeah, I mean, it's possible, you know.
One thing, you know, all those VFWs, the variable speed.
Yeah, the
thing-
Oh, yes,
variable
yes,
frequency drives.
Yes.
Thank you. That he's done around the district. I'm pretty sure he got a 50/50 grant from the co-op to do that work, and it'll be reflected, you know, as a credit to our bill.
Yes.
So that was super news after the fact.
Right,
Nice.
right, I know they're pretty hip
Yeah.
to most sources of funding, but that's a
Yeah.
question mark in my
Yeah.
mind.
So that's the broad overview. Everything else is pretty standard in the budget. You know, we cut a few things, we didn't add anything except those items I've noted.
Mm-hmm.
The person that we've not ever hired to be Jason's helper
Yes.
is still in the budget. Just left the money there, but that's something to think about. And you'll see, there's a note on the front of your budget at the bottom to see also the short-lived asset reserve information.
Yes.
We got, and there's an email in front of you somewhere, we got notification from RD that part of our conditions to accept all this grant money that goes with the loans, we would have to establish short-lived asset reserve funds. And I think the idea is that you deposit money every single year over the life of the loan, so that when you get to the 28 or 30-year point, you've got money to maintain and/or repair, replace whatever they've helped us pay for. So I don't think this is negotiable. That also, if we go forward with these projects, these funds would have to be started, and we're trying to find out from the auditor how to do it. Use a new bank account, you know, would have to have an appropriation
Right.
to do it. All right, so unless you guys want to dig into the budget, that's all I wanted to say tonight about the budget proposal. It's early, we're almost, you know, we're trying to wrap up the numbers, and then we can dig into it in November.
Right.
Okay,
Okay?
I'm good.
All right, so then, in front of you also, you're gonna have a rates forecast. Also says draft.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you what you have in front of you. There's one water one.
I don't have that. There, sorry.
Okay. There's one water one, and let's take that first. So, Commissioner DeLeo, I used your, just the number that you threw out for an annual minimum charge
Okay.
of $300 for water.
Okay,
I just, this is a spreadsheet, this can change and get tweaked, but, so, this would be $75 per quarter. That's what we talked about last meeting.
right.
All right. So, if we did that, we would raise $87,000 more than, see that little number on the right, Bob? The faded one? It's supposed to be green. We would raise $87,000 more in the minimum charge, which would offset the over 5,000 gallons. All right? Tell me if you're not with me.
No, I'm with you. So far, good so
All
far.
right, now normally that number is a minus number. We don't raise enough, so then I have to add it in. So we have to be careful when we're going through the spreadsheet that we're adding or subtracting as appropriate, or I should say, I have to be careful. All right, so then the line that says total budget is $1,274,000 for water. And I added to that an allowance for future debt service.
Mm-hmm.
This is to see where we'd go,
Okay.
all right?
Yes.
And that, again, I just threw in $200,000. I don't know how much it would be. So that gives us a budget of 1.4. Then we subtract any revenues other than user fees. If the trucks were purchased, the truck and the trailer were purchased, we would bring $41,000 in from capital reserve. And then we subtract that overage from above.
What's the, other than user fees, what's the 85K other than user fees?
Like connection fees, water meter stuff.
Do we actually bring in
Yeah,
85K
so
a
it
year?
depends. If there's a big connection that's $60,000, the rest is easy.
Oh, okay,
Right,
okay,
right.
got it.
Sometimes, yeah.
You've got a big connection coming up, don't
We got a
you?
big connection coming up.
We have a couple maybe.
We have
Yeah.
Right.
a couple of big connections coming
Right,
up. yeah.
okay,
Right.
I'm just checking, I don't want to
Yeah.
overinflate that
No,
number and then
no,
suddenly go,
All right.
So,
Our model would be quite sensitive to that.
right,
so in this model, our rate would go from 860 to 1290 for the over 5,000 gallons. So it'd be 1290 per 1,000. That's what we charge now?
over the 5.
Over
Yeah.
beyond,
So it would
right,
be
beyond the minimum.
$75 up to 5, everybody,
Yep.
per quarter. And then $12.90, those people per 1,000 gallons over the 5,
Yeah,
whoever does that.
yeah. And then
Okay,
the next section is just to give you an idea of gallons sold in previous years, and then the bottom is a proof, which it proved.
which is good, you
Miracle.
wanted proving.
Right, miracle. I mean, I'm not the slickest on spreadsheets. And then at the bottom, our fund balance as of 12/31/17 for water was 404,000, and we usually use some to offset, and I haven't in this calculation used any to offset the rates. All right.
Okay,
So then I have two sewer ones, and the concept is the same. Sewer one, I labeled everybody's, right? Did I?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
There's
Sewer one has $200,000 put in there for future debt service, and then sewer two has 300,000. I just wanted to see what happens.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a surprisingly,
Yeah.
Surprisingly insignificant.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. To $100,000
Yeah,
more
or
or less.
insensitive to
It's
that.
like-
yeah, it's quite,
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes.
So, I mean, you can follow down through there.
wowsies.
Yeah, and Judy, I think that was your $500.
Yeah, I just threw numbers
Yeah,
out
no,
there
I'm
just
not
as a
saying-
starting
Yeah, I'm
point.
just explaining where I got it. And then, no use of fund balance, so it would go from 1177 to 2077, an even $9 more. Or if we,
Use the
Yeah, we use the
300,000,
300, yeah.
we need
It's roughly $10.
1014, yeah.
$10, yeah.
Yeah, and again, that's without any use of fund balance. And, I have on the agenda a little bit of fund balance news, but I'll get to that. So, once we figure out what we're doing, then I can refine this a little bit better, and if, we don't have the total.
You know, how lean can we make it and still make it, you know?
I don't know.
I don't want to cut my nose off to spite my face,
Right.
but I don't want to overcharge anybody either.
No, we don't wanna,
well, we're really not gonna know that till we're gonna know more if we go into if we have the benefit of a rate study.
Right, but
this
it
is for
seems
immediate.
like
This is for the next.
We have,
we
can't-
have to do this without a rate study
That's
for
correct,
this year.
yes.
For 19, yeah, for 19.
You know,
right.
and maybe the rate study will allow us to buffer this a little bit better, but maybe the rate study will say, you need to do
Well,
more.
I mean, our
We don't
our
know.
financing is 20-plus years, so.
Right.
The line item 200,000 or 300,000 is not going away, would
Right,
not
it's
It
not
will
gonna
not
go
for
away.
the next
Right, that's
foreseeable.
Right,
Right.
exactly.
And
So
So it's not like
remember-
we could just use fund balance to offset
Right,
as a
each
one-time
year, yeah,
thing.
you can't do it.
It's not gonna
Yeah.
work.
Okay, so that's the model we use for your sake, Bob, and you know, we can put in whatever numbers the board wants for next iterations.
Yeah, we can just sit there and, you know, play around with numbers. I mean, what happens if we reduce it to 450 rather than 500? What happens if we reduce it to 400 rather than 500? What, you know,
Yes.
so,
Because it's in a spreadsheet, it's gonna be easy to do all
yeah,
that.
super simple to
Right.
pop numbers
The thing
in.
though is, if you get a negative number in the overage or underage,
Yeah,
then you gotta keep,
Yeah, but I think we want to keep that section of overage over. I think we want that a positive number. I don't want to see that last column go negative.
okay, sounds good to me. Because then I have to go down through every single
Right,
formula.
and
That's not-
fix the
Where's my
formulas.
Joshua when I need him?
Yes.
Like you
Okay.
see, I brought my whole packet from last time to,
Good for you. So any other, I mean,
no,
I'm mindful that do you have an obligation tonight?
No, actually, I.
Oh, you got off?
Yeah, well,
Unhooked?
I feel like
Beautiful.
this is actually the beginning of lots of important stuff here. You know, the other thing on my mind is, I guess, coming back to the whole, well, this is a larger discussion on our greater decision on what to do with all of this work, and that is risk assessment. And I, you know, that's been the subject on my mind in the past week is, you know, put some context on, some numerical context on the notion that
if we
on the
don't
decision
do
of
this-
doing or not doing. It's one thing to say, well, we've had a number of breaks and some have been bad, some have been not so bad, but
There's
it's
some
another
breaks.
thing. It's another thing to do some modeling that might say to us, well, here's a number we can apply if we don't go forward with this funding. And I feel like that's I feel like I could address the public in a much more confident way if, you know, if a number of people are saying, hey,
Yeah,
you know,
well,
you guys
we need to
you guys
back off.
are talking about raising the rates quite a bit. You know, then we can point to, all right, well, here's the alternative, and here's
Right.
a different way of looking at it,
The
money-wise.
professor that I spoke with, and you know this, but I'll say it out loud,
Yes.
is, wants to do a risk analysis.
Right,
That will take some time,
Yes.
yeah.
because she's gonna work with students to do it. And she was going away, and I have to get back to her.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could probably at least pull up some of our cost for all of the breaks that we've had recently. And I'm including like this big oopsie over here and Highland Street.
Yeah, that was over 200,000.
Right,
Highland Street was just labor mostly.
yeah, because we can do it in-house, but, you know, after a while, if things are starting to break all over the place, we're not necessarily going to be able to do it in-house, because if we're band-aiding everything, and that's what I feel like we're going to get into, is that
Increased
frequency, and we're going to be band-aiding, and every time you band-aid something, you end up with more joints in a pipe with more potential for breaking something, and, you know, that kind of
Yep.
worries me
Right,
a little bit. I mean, I still think, I agree with you, I still think we need that risk assessment, but we have an idea of how much each of these projects is going to cost without funding. Right?
Without funding?
Yeah, without RD's grants. Like, we
Right.
know how much these projects are going to cost.
Right, I mean, we have
Yeah, based on,
somewhere
Based
short
on
of
what
$20
we
million.
appropriate.
Right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. So what I'm saying is, we can say to the public, you know, it is fine to put these off, in quotes, fine to put these off. But if we do that, A, we lose grant funding
right,
off the top immediately.
right.
We've been told that if we apply individually for these grants, we're probably not going to get them. So
That
that
wasn't our
leaves,
package. That's not our package.
Right.
right, that leaves the entire cost or, 90% of the cost if we can find a 10% grant or something like that through another source, resting on the ratepayers' shoulders.
Right, because you could come to a point 10 years down the road where the frequency of repairs increases, and then you realize,
I'm not even talking about repairs at this point. I'm talking about the 5 things that we've addressed in our master plan that we know are imperative that we do over the next 5 to 10 years.
right,
So we already know that these projects have to happen, or they're going to lead to more breaks. So the question becomes, do we bite the bullet, do what we need to do in order to keep our funding,
right.
or do we say, all right, we're going to back off, we're going to do one project every 5 years for the next 25 years, and if we have emergencies in between, we have emergencies in between.
Yeah, I can't imagine that that's going to cost less. I mean, I
But
suspect.
it's not,
Pay
probably.
me now, pay me later. You're gonna
Right.
have to pay one way or
Right.
the other.
Well,
so
because
you want
you're
to pay in short
was it-
dollars, not long dollars.
Right, in the absence of the
Well, that's what I'm trying to say.
right, in
you
the
know,
absence of
if-
the funding we've received.
Right. It falls, totally 100% falls on us.
Yeah.
So risk assessment aside, though I still agree that we need it, if you just say, we either do it now because we've got 42% grant funding, or we say we can't do this the way it is currently, and then we look at 100% of the cost on us.
Right, you're buying yourself a couple of years putting this off, and then the rates are still going to be going
Up and higher than they would be right now.
right.
And we have.
Well, higher than we're proposing.
Right, exactly.
And we have breaks in service, and we have hydraulic deficiencies and all the other.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think we have to go very far before, if service was interrupted and it starts affecting businesses, well,
Right.
we had
No one's gonna
all
look
of Main
lightly
Street
on-
shut down for a better part of a day.
right, I mean,
Recently.
no one's gonna look
Yeah.
lightly on us
Oh, I
for
know.
making the decision that got us to, which would get us to that kind of a point.
Yeah,
Yep.
All right,
okay,
enough of hypothetics there,
okay.
Yeah,
but for now at least.
right.
2-year propane proposal.
Yeah,
Dead River,
our shopper, Fred Yetten,
Smart Shopper.
our smart shopper, Fred Yetten, has a price for propane of $1.50 a gallon for 2 years versus if we were on a 1 year, it's $1.52.9. Oh, wait a minute, 1 year luck, $1.52.9. Yeah, it's only 3 cents, but, is that right? I thought it was much lower. Yeah, no, it's the difference between 149.9 and $1.52.9, $1.53. So
I don't think it's going down in price anytime soon.
no, I mean
so
the price.
we may
the
want to
two-
lock
the
in
two-year
for 2
price
years.
at 149 is a pretty darn good price, and we use a lot.
What's our current rate?
I don't know, but we would be spending around $40,000 on what we use for propane.
With which rate? Both
With
rates?
with the lower rate.
Lower rate.
Yeah.
Right, so the higher rate adds.
So that's, yeah.
Well, it's like
$1,200?
12% or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About $1,200 or
So
so.
we can lock in the 2-year rate.
Yes.
That seems
we
to be
need a-
favorable. But we need to do that through you. We can't just do it.
All right, so we need a motion?
The multi-year arrangement.
Yeah, I think that's,
Yes,
on a
move.
2-year, I mean, a little bit more concerned about a longer term for one never knows.
Right.
It's hard to predict the fluctuation in commodities, but anyway.
Oh, I'm sorry, we put 27,000 gallons, Judy. of
27,000
propane.
gallons?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So I
motion-
make a motion, we accept the 2-year propane proposal
From Dead.
at 149.9 from Dead River.
Second, all those in favor? Aye.
And the second multi-year proposal, and I
Yes,
reviewed
I
this
have
with
looked
the
at this.
chairman,
Yes.
is to buy our computer support for 5 years. And the 5-year plan could include 3 PCs replaced over the life of the 5 years and full support.
Depending on the option. Yeah, I mean, one of those workstations is fairly new, and so my number one question was, well, what's the age of the workstations that may or may not be?
Right.
Well, we had to replace one, remember, and get the server, and we had to pay extra because we weren't in.
Right, so I mean, there's some clear savings here. And going to option one, I think, is a no-brainer. The question, the larger question is, do you want to go with option one or option two for
What's
this
the
5?
difference between
Well, there's some subtle differences, and that is, it's a matter of parts. The labor is included in both cases,
Okay.
but it would be server and workstation parts would not be included in the standard. So I'm kind of feeling like, my gut feeling was option one was a better way to go.
It's $900 difference?
No, it's 41.6 versus 47.4.
Oh, 47.
Over the
that
life.
looked like a 42.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
comma I took as a little.
Yeah.
Kim
So this
just
is over
wanted,
the life of the 5 years.
Kim wanted me to remind you that when we had to have the server replaced, that was all, fresh money. And it could be included if,
How much did it cost us to have the,
several thousand, wasn't
Right,
it?
yeah,
Yeah.
as it should be, yeah, because there was, it's both
Yeah, they
both the
had to
actual
sell-
hardware and then there's the configuration
Right,
and
yeah.
transfer of data.
Installation.
Yeah, which is non-trivial in a network situation. So,
Well,
Yeah, I
maybe
mean-
we can get a little bit more information, like the life of the desktops.
well, I mean, here's what it comes down to. They're calling out and saying, if we have to replace these 2 workstations, they're going to charge us like 30
That's crazy.
Well, that's both the cost of the hardware and
installing all our stuff on it
Oh,
and making
yeah.
sure
and
it's
then putting
operable.
and putting it into the network environment. Yeah, I agree. It's on the high side. It seems like it's on the high side. But so if you accept the fact that you replace 2 workstations for $3,700, I mean you've still got a $6,000 difference here. That's why it seems to me.
If we replace 2 workstations, is that per workstation? Is it 3,600 per workstation?
No, I mean
or
that
is-
suggests to me that that's for the 2.
So it's 1,800 per workstation.
Right.
All right, that's a little bit more
Yeah.
doable.
Right.
So if we do 3 workstations at 1,800 apiece,
But I mean,
That's-
Kim's is the newest.
Teams is the newest, it's about a year.
Right. So I mean, I kind of feel like
well, what happens if
Do
we?
you still recommend, would
put
you
a two
recommend
there?
it on a 3-year cycle? Or,
I mean, I do in my office, but
that seems to be what
yeah,
out in the rest of the world does.
yeah. I mean, you can get more, but sometimes you get less.
Do you
So-
want
I just
Wanna make a
replaced a
comment?
motherboard that was only on my machine, which was only like a year and a half or 2 years old. It
Oh,
went
that's
back.
do you want
ridiculous.
to make a counter offer?
Well, I'm just wondering if we do, rather than replace all 3, replace 2. Because will that give us the?
Kim's is fairly new, mine was the year before that, and I'm not sure when. I don't know when.
Well, I think what my point is, if you take the 41.6 and add the workstations, then you're still better off than that.
Right. Well,
Or
then
about-
maybe we ask how he came up with that number. Why is this number so much higher than that number if that's the cost of the
Because he wants you to do
workstation?
option 1.
Maybe,
I was in business.
yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole reason they're coming. I mean, we didn't ask for a 5-year contract.
No,
They-
no.
I mean,
Right.
They're pitching that to
Yeah.
us.
Well, I mean, I asked the staff to get an updated cost for the budget every year, so.
Right.
Right.
So
I mean,
this was their response, that's right.
yeah, and I thought that 7 grand was kind of high. So I mean, this.
So you like option 1 better?
Even if her computer is new, if you're going into a 5-year contract, if you
Yeah,
replace, you're still going to
We've
be
done the
replacing it.
3-year.
You're still going to be replacing it because 5 years is you're going to have all 3 of them
That is
replaced.
correct. So I mean, so we're still looking at 18 plus the 3,700.
Plus and right.
So that's 5, 3, 4.
So by the
and that-
time you add 5,500 to that, we are almost to that number.
right.
And guessing we should go with option 2.
That's what staff is recommending.
Because that covers the server, all replacement parts. I'd go with option 2.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
How much is it total?
47,000.
4,700? 47,000.
For 5 years.
For 5
5
years,
years.
yeah.
So you,
Because that includes the lease of the, and we're leasing the server because we originally, when we came time to put a new server in, I mean, it seems like a lot, but,
yeah, but you know what? If we're leasing the server from them, and if the server goes bad or we need a new model, it's up to their shouldering the cost.
right.
They're really good, they're really responsive to folks when they call.
I mean, I hate to go, oh yes, let's spend 47,000 when I'm going, we need to cut other things,
Right.
but
This is vital equipment.
we can't really live without it if one of the computers goes down,
Right. Yeah, I think I still feel like option 1, my gut reaction is that's probably.
You don't second the motion, it fails, and there's no vote.
Yeah, why don't we just wait till Steve?
Okay.
Next meeting, we
Okay.
don't have to vote on it
Okay.
right now,
What is
do
the
we?
price of option 1? Can I just look at it?
42?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Bobby could be a financial advisor.
42 versus 47.
Steve
It's
is-
about a
you guys,
$5,500 difference
he's-
between the two.
Yeah, he'll just,
He's gonna say yes to whoever makes the motion. No offense. All right, is this tabled, or are you guys gonna be,
We'll wait for
you're gonna work it out?
Bob.
yeah, we got other
Yeah.
things to talk about
Okay.
here.
Yeah, we can keep going.
Table?
Old business,
All right.
Holderness School, this is a
Okay.
big one.
Yeah, this is a big one. I have some things to distribute to you too.
And I reviewed that correspondence.
Yeah.
It was helpful.
1, 2. Oh, I gave you your copy, didn't I?
Yes,
So
it's
you
okay,
have-
I remember-
You have to give that to Judy and Bob, if Bobby wants it. That was gonna be for Steve. I always forget Bobby.
Yeah, I won't promise I
Can't
won't,
steal that.
as I don't need a second copy.
All right, so what that is a list of the outstanding agreements in what I call in the intervale. The district has a long expired agreement with PSU, and PSU and Holderness School and the town of Holderness have long expired agreements for the provision of sending their sewage over to our treatment plant. And when I uncovered these long expired agreements, I have encouraged the parties to renew them. And most of it is between PSU and then their dependents, basically, is Holderness School and Town of Holderness. Their flow comes through the PSU pump station before it comes over to our facility. So we're committed to taking the product, and why I'm bringing this up now and again, and I've sat with all the parties that can effectuate these renewals, and I've reminded them, this was a year ago.
Right, this is 1 year ago.
It's a year ago,
Yes.
and nothing's happened. We were recently notified that Holderness School is planning a new science
The new
building.
building, right.
A 30,000 square foot science building, and this is the first time that Holderness has, I think, done any capital work since we had our new water lease and our new agreement to maintain sewer. And it was important to Holderness School to be treated the same as everyone else in the district, because as you know, they're not in the district. As far as I know, well, I don't know whether Holderness has ever made a connection permit application, but it's Jason's opinion, in my opinion, that we would ask Holderness School to do everything that we would ask a developer on Tenny Mountain Highway or the PSU to do in terms of connection permits.
I don't think so.
And I would further ask the board to somehow figure out how we can encourage these entities to renew their agreements. I was aghast when I saw that some of them were over 20 years old, but now they're 22 years old because they haven't been renewed, and
Well, what are our choices? I mean, we've done a lot of work on.
Their
on-
behalf.
Summarizing.
Well, there's that, but just as the past couple of years, updating everything from our deeds and
Yeah,
getting a lot of paperwork in order here and
and I've summarized what the needs are here.
right. I mean, clearly, we should be
Well,
doing what we
I
can.
think one thing
Here's-
is, let me just say this one piece I forgot to mention. If Holderness School is gonna it's gonna have another connection for water and sewer, that means there's gonna be water and sewer going both ways in the intervale. It seems to Jason and I that PSU should have a say in how their pump station is treated, that,
Well, that's what I was gonna
gonna be added flow.
say. Is PSU's pump station capable of
Yeah.
handling this extra flow?
that's one of the questions. I mean, they should
They should be
participate.
participating in this discussion, because if they're not capable of handling the extra flow, it goes directly from their pump station right down to the plant, right? We don't have a
Correct.
pump station in between.
We do not.
So that's good for us, because we don't have to worry about the extra flow impacting a pump station for us that we suddenly might have to upgrade. So we don't at least have to worry about that. But PSU has to worry about that. And if their pump station isn't capable of handling this extra flow, then they've got to upgrade their pump station, which I would think means that they really need to get into discussion with Holderness School.
But what we should do as a district with Holderness, is agreement-wise, should not be held up by what the college, what the university wishes, or not, if they want to put this, if they don't want to communicate with us on this, we should proceed with Holderness School to amend whatever agreement we have.
No, the agreement, here's how it works, and it's all wrapped up into that. These agreements are somewhat tied together. We have an agreement with PSU, it expired, that includes the town of Holderness and includes the school. So it's all, we can't right now renew our agreement with the college until their agreements are by reference in the agreement that we would have with PSU. We say we honor the agreement you have with Holderness School. We honor the agreement you have with the town of Holderness, but they're long expired. And I don't want to renew anything with PSU until we can incorporate all of it.
Right.
Doesn't make any sense. We're not going to charge anybody any more than they get charged for their regular usage, but we want the formality of the agreements in place. It says things like you can't extend the sewerage to any other place.
Right, we need the agreements.
We need the agreements.
Right.
And, I mean, apart from that, and maybe a point of leverage is, Holderness School should seek connection permits for this new building. And does Jason approve them?
I don't think we can
these-
approve them
Until these agreements
until
are
we
in
have
place.
agreements in place. We wouldn't for anybody else in the district.
Right. It's sensitive, it's our two biggest
Yeah.
users, two biggest customers, if you will, and we want to have good relationships with them, but,
I don't think this is that hard to fix.
no, I don't either.
There's nothing in here other than updating PSC to PSU
Oh,
and
in the
changing
agreements?
names, Holderness for boys, and making sure we have all the lines in,
Well, no, I think there's some substance in what they would negotiate. In
well,
terms
that's
of-
up to the two of them.
No, I understand that. I mean, I don't want to minimize that these original agreements had Holderness School paying some capital costs to the college. And I don't know if they did it for the whole 20 years, but they haven't done it since.
Well, we've got three parties here, which makes it 100 times more difficult than two.
Right, but
And again, I've met with all the parties at a table at the college, and then I met with them individually and reviewed that, and then I sent them all a reminder email some months later.
Well, right, but what's the way that we might motivate the beginning of this process? We could draft what we think is,
Why would we do that?
they're not doing it.
But it's not us.
Well,
That's like you drafting a mortgage for me, not owning my house.
I mean, then
I don't
if we,
want
I mean,
to
what
do-
comes first to the cart or the horse is with regard to holderness. If we can't charge them a connection fee,
Oh, no,
because
yeah.
we don't have
Oh, no, we can. Yes, we can.
Yeah, we
well, I
can
thought you just said that we can't
No, I didn't
because
say
we don't
that.
No,
have.
she said-
No, I didn't say that. I was saying,
we can hold up the permitting process.
yeah, I didn't want to say that, but yes.
Well, yeah, I mean,
mean-
that's it. How can we
The
take,
condition of the renewal should be met before
they
Yes,
can,
we
Understood.
pass on
A
a connection
project.
permit.
right.
And that involves them having to participate with PSU because it's their pump station. it's
Well,
not
I
their
think
fuel.
that's the first step, is to let them know that because this involves 3 parties and we do not govern or have any power to say what PSU is going to want to do, that we cannot grant them the permits to go ahead with their new science building and tying into anything until they have the agreement with PSU, because they're tying into PSU infrastructure, not ours.
Right.
That's true.
Yes, and that has been emphasized verbally in person several times, but I'm happy to do it again.
Yeah, but now we've got
We may have,
a little bit
Yeah.
more.
the other thing too, and I was just reminded, with PSU, wait a minute, there's no, that the agreement said, this is kind of funny because they're so old, the agreement was to accommodate the field house in the intervale. And now, as you know, there's the field house.
There's the Allwell Center, there's the ice arena.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think all of that was built without the district considering capacity.
Well, that's why I'm asking, does the pump station even have the capacity to do this?
And the plant. I mean, capacity
Right.
gets used up, right. So that's what I want you to ask. That's what I
Right.
want, what I
Well,
want you to
that's
say.
why I'm asking
Yes.
these lovely questions.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Jason's meeting with Tony LeManager tomorrow, and
He's
he's the
Holderness.
facilities fella at Holderness to say, we will work with you, certainly, and to let him know, too, the permit process takes quite a while. We have to review it with our own engineers
right.
before Jason can pass on it.
And right now, what are our engineers gonna say? Our engineers are gonna say, we need to get the specs from PSU and find out if the pump station can handle all this. So I feel like right now, we're in the middle of 2 parties not talking to each other. And we can facilitate that a little bit by saying, hey, we can't renew this, or we can't give you a
pass on that
permit, we can't
until
do
these
this
agreements
until
are
you
renewed."
talk to them, because
Yeah, I mean,
there
that's
is a chance that they are going to say, not
Well,
sure about this.
So I mean, should Jason be the one conveying this?
To Tony, good point. There should probably be a
I
letter.
mean, it's fine that he's discussing.
Yeah,
Right.
on his level, yes.
Technical
Yeah,
aspects,
but
but
it seems like
as far
I
as-
should draft something for the board to sign.
Yes.
So that it,
Straight and to the point.
yeah, no,
Yes.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we will approve
Can I
it.
just ask a question?
Yes, please.
So when they added all the additional buildings after the field house and all the others during this agreement,
Right.
what process did you go through for the additional? Did we go?
Oh, they did connect, the Allwell Center had a permit.
Right,
They had a
yeah,
permit with
and
a
the ice
connection
arena did
fee.
too.
Okay.
Yeah, big one.
So I mean, we're just continuing the same process we've done. and
Yes,
that's the point that
exactly.
needs to be
Yes.
made, is that this is the continuation of a regular
Yes.
process.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
Okay.
Right,
Yeah,
definitely.
the hockey rink, I don't have any
Oh, yeah.
idea.
No, they had
Okay.
all the
Alright.
But I thought
ducks in a
that,
row.
I thought that Holderness built a new dorm though, over on the east side of,
When was that? When would that have
the
been?
past couple of years. I
Oh,
mean-
no, it's been a while. That
No,
new
no.
dorm is,
All right, well, maybe it was,
A few
was it
years old.
before I
Yes,
was
I
on the
believe
board?
so.
Okay.
Well, remember, they had their own sort of leach field
right,
also.
yep. Yeah,
You know, that
That-
Yeah, it was
Right.
trying to
it's
time.
been, I mean, again, a reason for these agreements to be a formality. And again, too, just, this isn't even in the district. This is stuff that we have to deal with.
Right.
We want to. There are very good customers,
Right,
but
right. But they have to talk to each other because it's not our infrastructure. It is, but it isn't, you know? It's PSU's pump station, and PSU owns the pump station.
and they pay for everything. They paid for an upgrade to the
Right.
pump station. They
Right,
pay for all
and
the electricity
if
and
all of a
maintenance.
sudden,
PSU pays for all of this.
right, so it's actually in PSU's best interest to have that agreement, because if the flow coming suddenly affects their pump station in a negative way, or suddenly
They
PSU
can't come running
says,
to us to
right,
fix the problem.
right, or PSU might have plans, I do not know, I'm conjecturing, let's say they have plans for another building or another something on that
Yeah,
side,
right.
and all of a sudden they can't do it because Holderness is tied in and they didn't do an upgrade to a pump station when they could have. So, I mean, if they know long-term what PSU has going on as well as what Holderness has going on, if they have to do an upgrade, it would be an upgrade all at once, not little piecey upgrades. You know what I mean? You do
Right.
cost-effective.
I
So they
think,
gotta talk to each other.
I think Holderness School was making a payment of $200 a year, and that goes back, I think that agreement's expired 29 years ago. And I don't know, I mean, obviously, I don't know the history. I don't know if
Right.
it got paid, didn't get paid, but
Right.
I've been on a mission to get these renewed just because they're outstanding, they're
Right.
expired. It's embarrassing.
Right.
Yep.
Okay,
All right.
okay, thank you.
To be
I will
continued.
draft that.
So we'll have to ask Bob what his thoughts were on that one.
Oh, yeah, right, I will.
Okay.
All right, so we're on
Give
to,
that back. Oh, would-
no, I
Oh,
wanted
give
to
that
see if
Marty.
you,
Yeah,
yes, you
no,
want,
good.
yes.
Okay, he might have it.
Pine Tree Power
Yes.
and some other,
Granite State Power.
oh, Granite State Power, right, thank
Yeah.
you.
You will remember that Pine Tree Power,
As in last year,
as in last year,
yes.
we got to a point where we had insurance language that they did not like.
But I thought the whole thing lapsed because Pine Tree said the cost of transport was too high or something.
Yeah, I guess, good memory. I think that, plus now that they want to get back in the agreement, then
This
maybe-
is the septic,
Well, it's
the water.
It's rinse water or
rinse
something,
water,
or something
right,
like that from
exactly.
from a cooling tower.
Right,
yeah.
Right. So what Pine Tree is asking is if we would delete some of the language that's in here about liability insurance and go with language that says something like that they would indemnify the district and all contractors, subcontractors, suppliers. He said he can agree to indemnify the parties, all of the district parties, but they don't want to indemnify their own subcontractors. One thing that's different is that they are now using one of our licensed truckers to bring the stuff here, so they won't have another sub.
Okay.
So-
So we would be the only,
Yeah, we would, any claims arising from their performance or non-performance under the agreement, but we wouldn't have a middle person to
what happens if suddenly the contractor that they're using to haul this stuff can't do it anymore and they need to go to another subcontractor?
yeah. What
Well, I mean, this is our insurance company
Yeah, our insurance pool
pool.
is, of course, they want us to be free of any risk, and we sent it to them, and they suggested the language.
So they did suggest that language that you just
Yeah.
read to us.
Well, what the Pine Tree fellow wants us to delete says claims that may arise out of the contractor's operations under the contract, whether such operations be by themselves or by any subcontractors or anyone directly or indirectly employed by any, it's
All right.
complete language.
Is this something our attorney should look at and make sure that we would still be,
Well, the Primex attorney looked at it.
oh, okay.
So, I mean, it's great that we're noticed of this, but I mean, does this not just go back to Primex? I mean,
Well, Yeah, I guess-
either
I
Primex
guess-
agrees or doesn't agree. I mean, I'm not sure how
Primex
we're
is gonna
involved.
be on this end of the risk-free zone.
Right,
Does the board wish to entertain less than they're suggesting be inserted because there's a hauler? I mean, we could say that the hauler has to be one of our licensed haulers, to answer your
Yes,
question.
and then if we do that, I'm fine with it, as long as,
It depends on how bad we want the revenue. If we don't want it, we don't want the risk, we don't want the hazards. Now we have two that want to bring their,
and we can
What we
handle
do.
this?
the other one, GSP and Merrimack, they only want permission to do it when they really need to bring it to us, not as a
Okay.
regular thing.
But will they have a different language in their agreement?
Oh, no, I
Because
said
they
to, no, I
are
said to
not,
Jason we'd have uniform agreements.
well, then we can't delete anything for Pine Tree. Because
No.
if because
we
if
would
Granite
have, we would
State,
have, we don't have any agreements with anyone.
right, I
We have
get that.
draft agreements, and I would say that we would use the same language in both. And
Right.
So if we delete the, if we
So what
delete-
I'm saying is, if Granite State is not going to use our licensed haulers,
I don't know who they're using,
then we can't delete that language.
all right?
Because if we can't guarantee that they're both going to use the licensed haulers, we need to protect ourselves.
right.
You know, I can have another conversation with, can't think of his name, the attorney at Primex to say, you know, I get this.
How do we do this?
No, I mean, I understand. I was on the property liability risk pool for 9 years.
Okay.
Of course, they're gonna belt and suspenders, you know, don't,
right.
please don't give us any risk. I don't know what likelihood there is for us to
Right.
actually have a claim.
True, but you never know.
You never know. So if you want to be completely prudent, to use a John Noyes word, then say we're not, right?
Unless we can put language in there stating that if you
hauler.
use a licensed hauler, this, if you don't use a licensed hauler, that.
All right, I'll
Right,
go back.
and then provide.
And then you
the
provide the two options.
Right, and so the unlicensed, well,
Right,
the unlicensed hauler has to provide.
has to provide their own
Indemnification.
indemnification.
All right, okay. One of
Because
them-
that would cover both bases, and then we don't have to worry about it.
I like
The
that.
Pine Tree people,
That seems,
Jason said, really want to get going, so,
Well, I'm perfectly fine with the agreement if we give an option A and an option
Okay.
B.
all right. All right, thanks. For licensed hauler,
Yes.
okay. And-
Licensed and non-licensed. Licensed the way Pine Tree
Okay.
wants it, non-licensed the way Primex wants it.
Okay, thank you.
How's that? Does
That's
that make
fine.
sense?
So that's
Yeah.
two,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
two,
That covers
two
our
agenda,
bases.
Right.
two agenda items, right there. All right.
2 for 1
She's
deal.
into checklists.
Well, yeah, I mean, see, I'm
You
keep
know
doing
what, I
the
had
same
in my
thing.
head that,
So we need your thought on
I
the
had in my head
computer so
that
we
they-
can check that sucker off.
Yeah, and we'll come back to that in a minute,
Yeah.
but
I know.
let's go ahead,
Yeah,
we'll
okay.
proceed, update with, on the
Um,
audit, yes, please.
so I had asked the auditor to explain to me sheets that I've shown you over the last couple of months where I had the 3 pages of the audit.
Where the one number was way higher than it was.
Exactly, how to understand fund balance in the 2 ways that the GAAP plus state law make the auditors do. And so he said that the treasurer's report would be more in harmony with the page 21, the unassigned fund, the budgetary unassigned fund balance. So I did some comparison. I said, well, that holds true for water, but it doesn't hold true for sewer at all. It's not even close. So I sent him back. I gave him all my papers to make it convenient for him. And he basically overstated the sewer unassigned fund balance in this way. We have, had at the end of the year, $843,000 in Woodsville Savings Bank, which represented the interim financing for Septage 1.
And he included that in
Yes.
his fund balance?
It is cash, and it's true, it's cash, but he treated it as if it were unassigned cash, and it clearly was
It was
not.
assigned, okay, so that makes
So
perfect sense, excuse me.
So the fund balance that we thought when we were making plans for budget last year at this time, or right after the first of the year, Well, or no, this was the fund balance for whatever, the year before, 16. The one we were looking at, we thought was 1.335, 1.336 almost. And in effect, it was just under $500,000 for sewer, which answers hugely the question of why does the treasurer's report not dovetail somewhere close to these fund balances? So
is this something our auditor is going to fix?
well,
I would think he has to.
well, you mean change the audit?
Well,
But
yeah,
it's
next for this coming year, right?
Well, of course, I mean,
It'll
the
be
money's
all
gone.
corrected.
So the money's, yes, I mean, he's well aware now that if he sees a bank account, the auditor should not have treated it this way, let's put it that way.
Okay.
Be generous to him. It looked like a cash account, and it is, except it was earmarked, so it should have come under the heading of,
Okay, so when
Assigned
we
fund
go to
balance.
look at our fund balance now, it's $800,000 less than it actually is appearing to be.
well, yeah, but remember, this was 12/31/17, so everything's changed. And
Right.
So in 2 months, they'll start a new audit, but our fund balance, and I even with the number that I thought it was, we used a considerable amount reducing the rates last year.
Right.
And I remember sitting here saying, now remember, we will not have this size of fund balance when we
Right,
go back
next
to do
year,
this
right.
again. Right. Now, to some extent, we've tried to ameliorate that, especially on the water side, by just keeping our expenditures to a dull roar this
Right.
budget. Here's related information. That's an unreconciled cash accounting as of today, not counting the money that is coming in right now for the final billing. So
So
that's, I mean, without, it's not
is that
reconciled.
fund balance, or is that just money?
No, yeah, this is treasurer's report.
Okay,
I mean, it's our finance person's report. Bobby hasn't seen it yet to reconcile. It's through September, and it doesn't reflect the deposits.
Right.
The incoming money.
Right,
Right.
incoming money. So we've got 148,000 in water
And
and
677.
676,000 in sewer. Cash, real dollars.
cash, real dollars.
Cash, real dollars.
For a total of what, 700?
711
711.
Right. And so
ish.
we get in 500,000, most of which goes to sewer.
Right.
So, I mean, we're aiming for a 12/31 target of having
A good cushion,
a cushion. Yeah, thank you.
at least for sewer.
Right, and water's always
Yeah.
very low anyway, but,
Which
so
again comes back to we gotta raise the rates.
Right.
Because it's not covering what we need it to be covering
Mm.
by any stretch of the imagination.
when Bobby and Cindy get finished with the 12/31, then we'll know what the cash balance was for 2018, and then we don't get the audit till much later, but we do get an idea of fund balance. And now we will have a more accurate fund balance.
Right.
So this is what you've been pulling your hair out about for the last 7 months or a year.
Right. Trying to figure this out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
Oopsie.
must feel better that at least you know what the heck it is.
I feel much better on the sewer side.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Yeah.
But,
Yes.
but I mean,
Yes.
not having the knowledge and not understanding or having something misstated
Yeah,
Right.
blows
is-
everything out of proportion.
right,
I know.
right, yes. Yeah. Yes, I have been searching to see why this doesn't seem to add up, but now this is, I mean, it's not favorable financial news, but at least now we know where we
Well, I
are.
mean, you can deal with anything if you know what it is, but it's hard to deal with what you don't know.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
It's that
Exactly.
So that is the
The
update.
unknowns, the unknown unknowns.
P.S. You holderness thing.
Yeah.
Well, before we go on to purchase recs, Bobby, did you have some thoughts on the,
I would go option one.
Option one.
Okay. I'll make a motion. We go with option one.
second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There you go.
I'll put a little half
That
vote,
was
half
easy.
vote from the treasurer. Good.
That
No,
was
it's so helpful to have.
Well, another set of eyes. We've got to.
We'll see. smart and taught math. He's in business. He knows a good deal when he sees one. Okay, so option 1. Did you give me that back?
Oh, there it is.
You took one home. Can't have
I know, I don't need 2 copies.
All right, so.
All right, so now on to these,
Purchase
just
recs.
a mere 3 purchase recs. Okay, so number 1 is $3,300 even to payable to GSM paving for manhole patches in and around town. $965 even payable to Maine Cal for calibration of lab equipment. And then lastly, $156,700 payable to Wright Pierce for construction phase.
Oh, right. Sorry,
Construction
excuse me
pump
for
1.
interrupting you. So that's on the agenda because they sent it up here. That's, actually, the board's already signed that contract. Just proceed now, never mind.
Okay.
Never mind.
So that's for
the start
pump,
of
yes,
pump 1.
Yes.
pump station number 1.
Yes,
Okay.
and that's for engineering during construction.
Okay.
And the board had already signed the contract. This is the PO, so Cindy can make things work.
I
Okay.
make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as written.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I do have one other quick item, and it's related to pump 1.
Okay.
So,
If it's a refund, I'll take it.
a refund? Nope, it has to do with full width of asphalt and 2 inches of base and 1.5 inch of top coat and a 2-year warranty. Jason heard back from the highway manager today,
Yes.
who signed the courtesy permit that we submitted, and he sent back the same comments. See, I'd sort of forgotten, but Jason had Joe Fagnan look at these plans a year ago, or last May, excuse me, and he sent a letter saying, this is the critical part, you gotta come across the street with the paving, and you now need to put in 2 inches of base and 1.5 inch of top coat, and you have to warranty the work for 2 years. Today, the permit got signed, the courtesy permit that we submitted, with these same comments back. So I'm understanding Joe to say, yeah, here's my comments, here's your permit, you gotta do it this way, which is real progress, that the courtesy permit was signed. But his conditions, if you will, his specifications are a little different than are in the plans. They want us to do 2 inches of base coat, and I think the only thing we can do is go back to Mike Terrio at Wright Pierce and say, put these specs in
Right,
for the bid.
yep,
The permit signed, it's a courtesy, we haven't put up a bond, we haven't paid the $50.
yep.
I think it's progress, and that we should honor, I don't think these specs are outlandish. It's a small project.
And it's going just from
Right, it
here
would be
to
some
our
added
parking lot.
cost, but
Right,
It's not a
it's not huge.
onerous or,
Right,
or
Exactly.
something that's,
Right.
has an impact that,
right. And if they have any extra
would
money,
cause-
I'll have them do the whole lot out here.
right, I mean, I
Bumpy
think,
areas.
I think we
Well, we did
In-
have that in the,
we protect the interests
Budget.
of the residents by moving ahead.
Yes.
yes,
So,
agreed.
okay, great. I don't need any, I've got my direction.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
And that could be the end of,
The meeting?
Yeah.
Yes, it could.
I do have a comment.
oh, please.
Okay.
November 6th is Election Day.
Oh, yeah, oh, bad meeting for you. Oh, yeah, that's right, we have to determine meetings.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe that wouldn't be.
that wouldn't be a good night for
Oh, that's
for-
bad, sorry, Bob.
So the 13th and the 27th, that's 2 weeks.
That
Second and fourth.
That works for me. But
13th, okay.
I'm not the critical one here.
Yeah,
I mean, I can come in and sign stuff at another time if that's necessary, if you need to have your meeting that night.
I'm happy with those, with Judy's.
And it puts us on the second and
yeah.
fourth. Does
Yeah.
that,
No, I'm slightly crimped for the 13th, but I'll be here. That's fine. It's my preparation for the meeting that is gonna be crimped, not being here. So,
okay. So if there's things we can do to
And
help.
Thanksgiving, so the 27th, that's the Tuesday after.
After Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving's early this year.
Yes, right, right.
Yeah, all right, so the board's on the 13th, okay. Yeah, all right. Be a little out of sorts, but I'll try to be prepared. We'll bring Jason in and he'll let him. Okay, so the 13th,
Right.
great. Okay. Good meeting, a lot of content.
Well, at 6:35, I
Make a motion to adjourn.
make a motion,
I
request
guess
a
we don't
motion.
have, we don't have to, right? We just adjourn.
Just adjourn.
Just adjourn.
We're adjourned, 6:35.
Yay.